welcome back to our value bin plays for Monday, March 20th, 2017. I'm sorry, my voice feels like it's starting to go here. I just can't get rid of whatever I've got. It's going to be an interesting slate tonight. I think there's already some value that is out there that's pretty obvious, and we still are so early in the morning that we could see a ton more by the time lineups lock. So this time of year, the single most important thing that anybody who plays daily fantasy has to do when you're playing daily fantasy basketball especially is you have to be looking at the news wires. You have to be watching Twitter, because these guys are going to get ruled out at the last possible second, and if you're not sharp enough to catch on to it, you're going to lose big time. I know a lot of people lost with LeBron James the other night, Darren Collison, Eric Bledsoe, so you're just going to have to pay attention. And a lot of times, once I have a core group of plays in place, I'll just take that list and hit Twitter and just search every name to see if I could find beat writers. You know, maybe the beat writer might not tweet out so-and-so's considering sitting this guy tonight, but they might post an article, and then you open it up and see that, you know, Mike Malone mentioned that he might not play Jameer Nelson or something like that. Give him some rest down the stretch to give Jamal Murray a little extra time. So just be very, very careful. Let's take a look at some plays that our module is spitting out in the value tier. We've got Thad Young, Eric Gordon, Miles Turner really on DraftKings is in my value tier. Kenneth Faried, Sean Long, if you're not familiar with who that is the one of the backup center power forwards from Philly, and Ersan Ilyasova. So let's take a look today at three guys I think are in prime position to have some pretty good games. Let's start off with Taurean Prince, 7K fantasy draft, 37 FanDuel, 35 DraftKings. I like Ersan Ilyasova ceiling a lot more. His price is a little bit more, but that doesn't mean Prince is someone we want to write off of our lineups quite yet. He's going to see time with Paul Millsap hurt. His necessary output is under 20 fantasy points. He's put up 24 and 25 fantasy points, I believe, in his last two outings. So he's returning 7-8x value, and he gets a fair enough matchup against the Charlotte Hornets, who just aren't that great of a basketball team. So I think he'll see heavier ownership just because of the fact that he's priced so low, and you've got both Harden and Westbrook on this slate, and people are going to try to fit, depending on the site, one or both of them into their lineups. So he's someone I think could see an increased ownership. Another guy I really likes, Patrick Beverly, and he's been off and on and not really that good over the last 10 games or so. His price comes in at 10-1 on Fantasy Draft, 4-9 FanDuel, 5-1 DraftKings. Mind you, this is a guy who could put up over 40 fantasy points if everything's falling right for him. It just hasn't been. That's the reality that we're existing in right now. It just hasn't been going his way. But it's not going to go that way forever, and we're going to have him at a really discounted price. We know that Denver struggles typically with the point guard position, and even though Beverly didn't have a good game against them last time, doesn't mean that the same thing's going to happen here. So I like the idea of using Beverly in some of my tournament lineups. Lastly, I think you have to pay attention to Richaun Holmes, center for the Philadelphia 76ers. 10-1 fantasy draft, 4-8 FanDuel, 5-1 on DraftKings. He should see some extra minutes with Jahlil Okafor in a highly questionable state right now. I would probably put him near that 25 to 28 minutes, and if he's getting that, he's been more than a point per minute producer. So that should get him in the position to have anywhere from 30 to 40 fantasy points, which we've seen him do countless times this year. Nothing to be worried about with the matchup here against Orlando, who Nick Vucevic is soft, but it's worth mentioning that Vucevic, his Achilles is flaring up as of yesterday, was not able to practice. If he's not able to go, Bismack Biyombo actually would make a pretty solid pivot now that his price has dropped. I know for offhand it's 4,500 on DraftKings. Not sure where it's at elsewhere. All right, that'll wrap it up for our value plays for the day. Make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, and we thank you very much for doing so. Make sure to head over to researchfantasy.com, sign up for our NBA mailing list. Head over to Facebook, like us there, follow us on Twitter at Research and Win, and join us tomorrow for another edition of our podcast.